Hey guys, it's Alana and welcome back for another episode of Seeing Other People. Holy shit. This is one of the last episodes of the year. I am so excited. So this is really a New Year's themed episode, though we are releasing it a week before New Year's because it's just the end of the year. It is the holidays. It is time for us to look back on 2021 and look forward to 2022. And I am so excited. I can't believe how much has happened in 2021. And I'm really thankful that the year is over, though who's to say 2022 will be better? Unclear. But I have two amazing guests today to help me look back and look forward. And we are going to talk about a lot of fun stuff. This is a really great episode, you guys. It's just about life and where we are right now and how dating changed in 2021, what we think might happen in 2022. We're going to look back at Shot Girl Summer, Hot Vac Summer. We're going to look back at some celebrity couples and weird dating things that happened in pop culture throughout the year. And we're also going to talk about how the pandemic and how 2021 really impacted our dating lives and our relationships. And I'm so excited. I love these girls. I absolutely am obsessed with the Moral Hangover. Oh, I didn't even introduce them. I just said I have amazing people coming on. Well, now you know. The cat's out of the bag. Vic and Katie from the Moral Hangover are going to be joining me or are joining me right now. So let's do it. You guys, I am just so grateful for everyone who has tuned into an episode this year. Thank you. I don't know why I'm getting sappy. We still have another one coming out next week. But anyways, okay, let's do it. End of 2021, seeing other people. Let's rock. I can't believe I'm saying this, but you guys, we made it through 2021. This year has been insane and incredibly stressful and overwhelming and busy and filled with high highs and low lows. And now it's time to rest and relax and kind of give ourselves a little break from the madness that has been 2021. And my favorite way to rest up is with the help of Mindset Wellness CBD's Rest Gummies. I have taken these pretty much all year to actually get a good night's sleep, and I do not know where I would be without them. And that's why this winter, I want to give you the gift of rest, or I want you to give somebody in your life the gift of rest. It is such a game changer and really helps you get through the day, get through the week, because we can't function without sleep. So head to mindsetwellness.com. Fill up your cart with the Rest Gummies. Not to mention, they taste incredible. They are gluten-free, they are vegan, they are non-GMO, they are organic. And if you use code Seeing Other People, you get 10% off and free shipping. Mindsetwellness.com. Let's get back to the episode. Okay, we are here, you guys. It is the end of December. We made it almost. There's a few days left to fuck it up, but Vic, Katie from the I can't speak. See, I'm already fucking it up. Vic and Katie from the Moral Hangover are in the New Year house right now. Guys, what's going on?
How are you? Thank you so much for having us.
Hi.
Thank you for being here. I'm so excited. We've been talking about doing this for so long, and I feel like this is just the perfect way to close out 2021. Like, we're just gonna have so much fun.
No, I'm excited. And so much has happened. I know I filled you in on my dating life when we hung out together, and so much has happened since then. So I'm eager to fill in the gaps.
Hell yeah. Wait, first of all, introduce yourselves so people know who you are, know whose voice is whose. Introduce the Moral Hangover. Let's go. Come on.
I am Katie. Since I'm talking right now a lot, so I'm just going to take it over. I'm Katie. I am the co-host of Moral Hangover, and I'm here with Vic.
Hi. Okay, I'm struggling in the background because I'm having such a bad hair day, but I'm Victoria, trying to fix my hair.
Vic, you look sexy. What are you talking about?
I'm on the last day of my hair washing schedule, and I'm just trying to make this work. Okay, I think I'm fine.
What is your hair washing schedule? How many days can you go?
I go about 3 to 4. I aspire to go longer.
That's impressive. I washed my hair yesterday morning, and I need to wash it tonight.
Oh, that's too frequent.
No, I'm on the same kind of schedule as you. I don't like the greasy route. I hate the feeling of dry shampoo. I'm every other day.
I can't do it. But I will say my hair has this very special power where it dries in 5 minutes and I don't do anything to it. It just dries perfectly. And I think that's something some of my friends hate me for.
Yeah, I would hate you for that too.
Yeah. But like your hair looks so good. Like honestly, if I actually put work into it, I'm sure my hair would look good. Like remember when you did my hair and it looked amazing? Like see, I don't do that, but I could do that and I could have hair that looks like yours, but I can't. I just don't.
Well, you're also so talented that you're able to grow your hair that long. I feel like once we hit a certain age, it's impossible to grow your hair past a certain length.
I have not gotten a haircut in a year.
Don't do it. Don't cut it. Keep it growing.
I know. I want to. Speaking of growing, we all grew this year a little bit. A little emotional maturity maybe happened. I don't know what I'm saying. I don't know if that's true or false. Maybe some people listening grew a little this year. But yeah, so what we're here to talk about today is, first of all, a lot of things, but really the fact that 2021 is actually over. Like somehow we made it through. And so I thought it would be really fun to look back on 2021 and all that happened in dating, both in our dating lives, in seeing other people world, in like celebrity world. There's just so much shit that went down in 2021. And obviously we'll go through predictions for 2022 and all of that. I know the actual New Year's Eve is in a hot sec, which means New Year's resolutions are going to be broken in a hot sec and a half. And we're all going to wake up with the biggest moral hangover in a few days, but it's going to be great.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about the New Year's Eve kiss. That's what's freaking me out. When you said New Year's, that's exactly where my mind went. I was like, oh my God, the New Year's Eve kiss.
I don't think I've ever had like a meaningful New Year's Eve kiss. Ever.
I haven't either. Ever.
Vic, we know you
Vic,
have.
what about you? Vic, what about you?
I mean, I've been in a relationship for 9 years now, but I hate New Year's Eve. Like, I just think it's the most overrated holiday that I never have a good New Year's Eve. So just like,
I second that.
I'm almost at the point where I think every holiday is overrated because at a certain age, all you do is go out and you try to find plans. And it's always impossible to find plans. The lines are extremely long. You're paying so much money. And at the end of the day, all I want to do is hang out with people I love. That's all that matters on a holiday. It's like Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, Hanukkah, New Year's. They're just all really hyped up. And all that matters is being with your friends and family and people you actually like instead of randos at a bar who are sweaty.
I completely agree. Also, like, why are you going to pay $250 to go to a bar that on any other day of the year you just walk into? It's crazy.
True.
But it gets really,
Absolutely
there's
not.
a lot of pressure in it. Cause like, I know my friends started texting me in like the end of October, early November being like, what are your New Year's plans? Like, I need to make plans now so that I don't have to think about it. And it's like, that's the thing. It's like, there's so much pressure that everyone wants to just make plans all of the sudden. So then if you don't, then that's when you fall behind. And then like, I mean, I know last year, I think it was like literally it was December 30th and I did not know what I was doing. And on the 31st, my friend and I ended up driving up to Vermont and just like me, her and her sister just like drank and ate really good food in her aunt's Vermont house. And we had a great time because it was just so casual. I literally fell asleep at 11.
Well, there's also no stress. There's no stress of what am I wearing? Who's going to be there? Who am I going to run into? Like all the possible scenarios that run in our heads.
Yeah. Let's real quick set the stage. Vic, I know you just mentioned you've been in a relationship for 9 years. Can you kind of give a little background to that? And then also, Katie, can you just set the stage in your dating life? What's been going on? Just so everyone is up to speed.
yes. Okay. So I've been in a relationship since November of 2012. So 9 years with my boyfriend. We were high school sweethearts. And then in college, well, okay, back up in high school, I went to an all-girl school. He went to an all-boys school. And then we both went to different colleges. His was in upstate New York. Mine was in Philly. So we've pretty much have kind of always done long distance. Like we've never gone to school together. And then the first time we haven't done long distance is now post-grad during the pandemic because I've been home instead of in Philly. So that's where we are now.
How has that been going?
It's been going really well. Like I think this past now almost like 2 years, we've gotten a lot stronger, our relationship. We're not getting engaged yet, as you may see probably everyone else from like everyone our
Everywhere.
age is getting engaged right now. But I'm not
Or
one of them.
knocked
Or both. Or knocked up then engaged to cover it up.
True.
Yeah. Well, we'll definitely get into more of how like COVID and the pandemic and actually living in the same place really did like impact your relationship and also mine and Katie's dating lives. But yeah, Katie, set the stage. Your dating life. Are you in a relationship? Are you single?
I am very, my dating life, I'm very single. It's non-existent. Well, I guess it is existent. I date here and there. Nothing serious. I actually just re-downloaded Hinge and I've been having a lot of hits on Hinge. So I'm debating putting myself out there and actually going on blind dates with people because I do want to find something. I feel like I have everything in my life that I want. I just don't have someone I can share those things with. So that's the new revelation I'm at in my life. And I also think cuffing season's kind of playing in, like as a factor too. So TBD, single now, maybe by the time this comes out and airs, maybe I'll be in a relationship. Who knows?
Maybe. No, I love that. And I think that's great that you're actually down to like go be set up and like go on blind dates. Like, I think that's amazing. And I think that's a really big thing that's missing from modern dating right now is that like everything is so calculated and like almost it's just like everything's just fake and like made up. And so to actually like be put on a date with somebody that you really don't know that much about, that you haven't extensively stalked and like learned every single little detail about their lives about before you actually meet them in person, I think is an amazing thing. So I support that. Maybe I have somebody for you. We'll see. Maybe.
Okay, great.
Maybe,
Can't wait.
Maybe. If someone's listening and they're like, ooh, Katie, like, yeah, hit us up. Okay. So let's talk about where we started with the dating world in 2021. COVID, like the deep, like depths of COVID. In the beginning of this year, nobody was vaccinated, which is really crazy to think about. I know, I think like our parents started getting vaccinated in February if they were lucky. And so I don't know what it was like for you, Katie, if you were going on dates then, or for Vic, like what you were seeing your friends do. But I know for me, it was like, I would match with somebody the first week of January and I couldn't go on a date with them for a month because I was going home to see my parents. So I couldn't see anyone. And then I was going back to the city, but then my roommates were going home to see their parents the following week. So like we all had to like quarantine. And then that person was going home to see their parents. Like it was just so complicated to actually get on dates, even if we were trying, which is so crazy to think about.
Okay, but my experience was a little bit different than yours, Alana. I was loosely seeing someone I was like 2019 or what was last year? 2020?
2020.
So
you're doing great.
Okay, I'm fucking this up. I wasn't seeing anyone at all. And then my parents are super, super conservative when it came to COVID and all of that. I was not out of the house. I was doing nothing. And then towards the summer, that's kind of when my parents let up on rules a little bit and they let me go out and like do some things here and there. So I managed to maybe get out of the house like 10 times from summer to December. And I met someone through a friend of a friend and had a one night stand with them. And then we went on a few dates afterwards, fizzled out. Now he has a girlfriend. But that was kind of my dating in 2020. It was very uneventful. I wasn't really talking to anyone. Nothing exciting was happening on my end.
You're leaving out.
And then what happened? Did that change at all? Like when 2021 came around, or you were kind of just like in limbo waiting for the world to like open back up again because you couldn't really do much?
So once we were able to get our vaccines, I got vaccinated in April. I was joining a shore house. So I was joining a shore house and I was like, okay, great. This is going to be a great time to meet young people, single people, because I've been cooped up in my house for so long with my parents. I basically turned into a 6-year-old person at that point. So I met so many people down the shore, didn't really have like a raging sex life like I thought I would. And I actually went on my first date since December in June.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
And I was an absolute psychopath. I had no idea what to talk about. I had so much social anxiety in general just because I was not used to talking to people and being in close quarters with people. And then I was just self-conscious of, oh my gosh, am I going to get COVID? Like I was thinking that the whole entire time. And I basically just forgot basic dating etiquette. I was oversharing. Our date was too long. And I don't know. It just wasn't a great experience for my first date back during COVID. And then I guess I would say my next date since June was in August. So I had a little bit of time in between to make sure I don't not filter myself enough.
Yeah, that's really funny. No, I mean, I totally relate to that. Like nobody knew what the hell to talk about or what to say. And even, just going back out and being with people was just such an uncomfortable thing. I mean, it's funny to think about now because, like, yeah, we've all been seeing people and stuff, like, still being careful, but it's a completely different world than it was in June. And in June, like, we were all doing these things for the first time. My favorite kind of little anecdote that I thought was really funny that somebody I went on a date with actually told me was throughout COVID. It was like before COVID, if you would ever go on a date with somebody and suggest like doing a date at one of your apartments, like absolutely not. They'd be a serial
No.
killer. Like what girl in their
Or
right
it's like
mind
you're
would
just trying to, you know what?
Right. Yeah, exactly. And then suddenly like that summer happened and things opened up. So then COVID happened. And so then suddenly like you couldn't really go to places at all. And so suddenly people going to each other's apartments, nobody's a serial killer. Like everyone's safe. It's the only way to date is by going to an apartment. And then the summer happened and people started to do things out and about and people started to go on dates again. And then suddenly like he was considered a serial killer again if he suggested doing an apartment date. And then the winter happened and everything shut down again. And then suddenly like nobody's a serial killer. And it's so funny that pattern that went on because it really is so true. And like I know I went on dates where the first date was in the apartment and like for the most part they were pretty awful.
I can't even imagine that. I would have so much anxiety that I was going to shit myself in their apartment, like use their bathroom, be in there for too long. Like, what do you talk about at that point?
That literally happened to me one day where I like was having such stomach issues. I did not know what to do. I was freaking out to all my friends. I ended up like buying the potpourri spray because I knew this guy lived by himself, like had a studio. So I knew the bathroom like was not near the window had no like air vent and there was nowhere else for the smell to go except for in his apartment. I'm like, what if something happens? I don't know what to do. My friends were like, cancel. I'm like, I can't cancel. Like I have to go on this date. But, like I was taking like every type of pill I could think of, like bought the potpourri spray. Nothing ended up happening. Thank
God.
Lord.
Thank God.
I was so scared.
But it's just like when you're in close quarters with someone like that, it's like, what do you talk about? There's always that awkwardness. Even I feel like when we first met each other, there was like a little bit of awkwardness in the beginning because I'm like, okay, I'm coming into your home. Like I want to be respectful. Like everyone lives differently. I think there's so many barriers you have to cross going into someone's apartment. And you also learn so much about someone based on their apartment, like their cleanliness, how they keep their home, like what their decor is. Maybe they have like a stuffed animal or, I don't know, a shrine of guns. Who knows?
Katie, you're making me...
What would you do?
What?
That would be crazy.
What would you do, Katie, if you walked into someone's apartment? Let's say it was a third date. You were having a great third date. You were super into this guy. You go home with them and they have an entire like dresser just filled with guns.
I would have to leave. Okay, it actually depends.
What
it
if
actually
you
depends.
leave and they grab what? Okay, no.
It depends because this is where my flaw is. If they really are charming and are extremely attractive, I may just still stay a little longer until they give me another reason. But if they didn't really have anything else to offer, then I'd be like, all right, done with you, leaving respectfully. Please seek help.
Please seek help. Oh my God, that's really funny. Now I'm imagining, I don't even know what I would do. I would just like be like, I have to go to the bathroom. And then I would like run the water for a really long time, like call my friends, be whispering like, what do I do? I would honestly be afraid. Vic, I know you're not out on the market, but if you were to be dating someone or if you suddenly walked into your boyfriend's apartment and he suddenly had a bookshelf of guns. I don't know why we're on this topic.
You know what? It would depend the part of the country that you're in because I'm thinking I have a cousin who's a hunter. So it's situation by situation.
Well, you're in the part of the country
I probably
that you're
wouldn't date a hunter
right now.
In Westchester, there could be some hunters. I wouldn't be into a hunter, but that's
I just want to say, and I know we're probably going to talk about this later, but COVID has made me realize a lot of people's political views, and it also makes you associate certain things with certain political parties, and guns for me is one of those. So...
retweet.
I don't know. That's just how I feel. And it's kind of whatever your political stance is, you kind of like take it or leave it.
Yeah, I second that. Okay, moving on from guns, which was
Not walking into anyone's house with guns.
which was not on the agenda for
I don't
this
know why I brought that up.
conversation.
I'm so sorry.
Speaking
Just
of, this
top of
should be
mind.
illegal. Okay, I want to get into, because I think this will be a really funny conversation, like weird dating shit that went on this year in like pop culture and like celebrity world and on TV, because so much happened. And I want to start by saying like John Mulaney and Olivia Munn started dating, got pregnant, and broke up. And
What? Are they broken up?
You didn't hear they broke up?
No, when?
Like end of October.
Okay, I had no idea. All I know is that he's always in and out of rehab. So when they got pregnant, I was like, girl, maybe not the best idea right now with someone who's, trying to get through something.
Yeah. I saw him live, and his whole show was kind of about like his intervention. And it was really funny. He did such a good job. And he's such an amazing storyteller. But he was like, it was a star-studded intervention. Like I showed up to my intervention and I was like, damn, I'm important.
Aw. Well, hey, people love him. People will love him and they want him to get better.
Yeah. But yeah, they broke up. The whole thing happened with Courtney, Travis, Megan Fox, and Machine Gun Kelly, whatever that was. Also, stop me at any time if you have thoughts on any of these people.
Well, I think You go, Vic.
I think that they're making trendy. What are they? I don't want to generalize here, but they're making trendy like a different kind of boy. Like the rocker guy is like the cool guy now.
Who else?
It's the whole TikTok crew, I think,
Yeah.
too. Like, when I think of that rocker look, I think of the White House, and then I think of Travis Barker, I think of MGK, I think of Pete Davidson. It's the people who in school maybe wouldn't have been popular, but post-grad, they're thriving.
Yeah.
They're the spaghetti noodle boys.
That's so true. They really are. Well, what's funny about Pete is that everyone, like when he and Kim started like quote unquote dating or whatever, everyone's like obviously going through all of his dating history. And it's like, what is it about this guy? Like he is such an enigma. Like how are all of these women like possibly attracted to him? Like how does he date all of these people? And like everyone's jumping through hoops to try and find the answer. And it's like, nobody's considered the fact that like maybe he's a good guy.
Well, this is what I think.
Katie used to like him, right?
This is my personal theory. I think when you're a celebrity status, if you're a woman and you're a breadwinner and you're making X amount of money, like you don't have to worry about who you're marrying because you're so fine on your own. If you look at everyone who's dated Pete, they all have their own shit. Like they don't need him. So it's strictly just his personality. Whereas I feel like us commoners, we kind of factor in, okay, not that it's all about money, but like you want someone to have the same, income level as you, same hustle, same drive. So, money's not a factor there. And like when it comes down to it, it's just his personality.
Good
Nothing
point.
like a job. Like they don't care about what his job is. They don't care about how much he makes. They don't care about his friend group. Like none of that's factored in like us commoners.
I'm just getting over the commoners.
Us commoners.
What would you call them? Us non-celebs.
Just peasants. I know, but it's just crazy, like the level of celebrity all of these people are and who they've dated before. And then like Pete. But I agree. It 100% is his personality.
Well, Ariana paved the way. Yeah. None of this would have been possible without Ariana Grande. It's like, an ugly guy dates one hot girl, and next thing you know, they're getting hot girls out the wazoo when they really shouldn't.
That is true. Okay, wait. Well, here's the question. What do you think is more common? Like ugly guy, hot girl, or ugly girl, hot guy?
Vic, you take it.
I think it's ugly guy, hot girl.
You never see hot guys with ugly girls, ever.
Actually, I've seen a few.
Really?
And I'm like, woo. Well, yeah, not to be a biatch, but I definitely have seen someone. I'm like, what's going on here?
I can't think of like anyone at the top of my head. No. But the thing is, like, I think some guys are so redeeming and why Pete, I think everyone likes Pete is because he's so funny. So it really makes him like girls, like a lot of girls are about like the looks in a guy or guy to guy, whatever. But it's like we like a whole rounded guy.
Yeah. I also think Pete just owns his shit.
Am I making any sense?
Like I think other guys are not self-aware and they try to act like they're, they're great at their job or they're great at this, they're great at that, they're a great person. Like they might be a shitty person, but Pete's like, hey, I know I have these issues. Like it's kind of take it or leave it. This is me, and this is like authentically who I am. So hop along if you're trying to get rowdy. If not, sit on the side.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I don't know. I'm curious to see who he actually ending up with.
I just want to know if him and Kim had sex. That's all I want to know.
Dun, dun, dun. Let's call him up and ask. Imagine if I was just like, if I just called one of them, who would you freak out more if I called right now?
Him, easily.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't have her number.
I heard, did you guys hear, I don't know if this is too R-rated for this podcast, that another theory of why he gets so many girls is because he's got it working for him down there.
You know what? Maybe. But like, if you think of, are we talking about size? But
yeah,
think about that would break Ariana Grande.
Yeah.
Like it would break her in half.
So maybe it's just a very pleasant, normal
It's
size.
probably motion of the ocean.
Who knows?
Normal's underrated. Like normal is chef's kiss. Normal's what I always strived for.
It doesn't matter the size of anything. It's what you do with your assets.
It's the size of the heart that matters, Katie.
By assets, I mean your genitals, but you know what I mean.
Who else was there? Okay. I mean, there was J-Lo and Ben Affleck. Harry and Meghan officially exited the royal family. It was so weird, like looking, because I never talk about pop culture shit. So I'm like, how am I going to talk about this stuff? Like, I'm like looking this up before every news outlet has released like all of their like top pop culture moments of the year. But
I have a theory or a thought on Harry and Meghan if we wanted to talk about them.
Absolutely.
All I kept thinking is how in love Harry is with Meghan, because to leave the royal family and go through that all, like you need to love that person to death. Yeah. Because if I was him and you weren't head over heels over her, I'd be like, you can leave. We'll get the divorce and make that be public.
See, this kind of reminds me of what's going on with Gigi Hadid. Or what has happened with Gigi Hadid and Zayn Malik, how they were dating, they had a baby, and then there was a fight between Zayn and the mom, and Gigi took her mom's side, her blood family, over her baby daddy. And it just makes me think I would go with my family as opposed to my significant other, because personally, this is how I think about it. My parents have given me such a good life. They've made me who I am today. And like if I had abusive parents who were pieces of shit, maybe my answer would be different. But because I'm so fond of them, I'm like, okay, if someone fights with my mom, I'm obviously going to have my mom's back. Because when you exit the royal family, like they're never welcome again. That relationship is never going to be the same. Ever. Especially after that Oprah interview. I mean, what are you doing? Just airing your family's dirty laundry?
Well, hold on. Vic, as someone who's been in a relationship for 9 years, how do you feel?
I know. I have a lot of thoughts on this. I don't know what I would do. I feel like I would choose my family. But the thing is, I think it gets complicated because we're not engaged or married. But I think if you have a family, maybe the choice would be different. But I think if you're not married or not, if you're not married, I think, that's a red flag. Because if he, in this situation, Zayn pushed the mother, if he would push her, he's going to push you one day. Apple doesn't fall far.
You got
I
this.
can't even
you got
say
this.
it. Never mind. I'm not even going to say it, but you know what I mean? He's going to do it to her. Like once a cheater, always a cheater. If you push someone, you'll probably push the other person. You push an old woman. Not that she's old, but you know what I mean.
Well, he also called her a dirty fucking whore or a Dutch fucking
He
whore.
did?
I'm sorry. If anyone ever called my
What
mom
an
that,
idiot.
I'd be like, first off, call me that first before you call my mom that.
I mean, I just wouldn't be able to stay in a relationship with somebody who treated somebody else like that, especially someone who's my mom or someone that close to me. That's where I would draw the line, not like,
But
yeah.
also, I want to know how much was, what's her name again? The mother?
Yolanda.
I want to know how much Yolanda was pushing him, because I've watched her twice on Housewives and I was like, I hate this woman.
I don't think they would have a case.
Not to justify
I don't think
it.
they would have a case if it was just her making shit up, to be honest. Because he was charged with 4 counts.
Oh,
I didn't know that.
Didn't even realize that. Then disregard what I said.
But Vic, you are right. She is known for fabricating because she had Munchausen's about her Lyme disease, allegedly, but there is proof behind whatever happened with this case because there's 4 counts against him. So that's the only reason why I believe she has something.
Yeah.
Yikes. Okay, I just thought of something. If you had to, well, 2 things. One, if you had to be in a relationship that mimicked another relation. Okay, fine. Let me rephrase this. If you had to choose a celebrity couple to be your parents, who would you pick? Somebody actually asked me this. I was doing a job interview once, and it was a 2nd-round interview, and this was one of the questions.
That's a great interview question. I'm going to take that.
No.
It was the hardest thing in the world. I picked like 2 random people.
First?
I literally think I was like Adam Levine and Taylor Swift. Like I picked the 2 celebrities that came to my mind
so they don't
first.
need to be together? They can be any celebrity, or do they need to be together?
No, let's make it together. I definitely screwed up. I didn't get another interview after that. I dropped the ball. But no, couples.
Oh, I think I know.
Let's hear it.
Here you go.
Mila Kunis and Ashton Kutcher.
That's a good one.
Or Hillary Duff and her, I don't know her husband's name, but I love their relationship. I like want to be her child.
Hillary Duff is probably like the world's best mom.
Yeah, she does it all. I love her.
She's somebody who's just never gone off the wagon. Literally the worst thing she's ever done is like she was spotted giving him a blowjob after he proposed to her. And like people caught that on camera. And that was the worst thing she's ever done, like in the public eye.
I didn't even know about that.
Yeah. And people made such a big deal of it. Like she like sucked his dick and it's like, they just got engaged. Let her. Like, what do you mean?
I mean,
that's what she wants to do. Let it be. Why are we making a big deal out of it? And why are we like photographing through the window? We also.
Yeah, that's weird. Like that's almost porn. That basically is porn, I guess, if you're taking a picture of someone doing that.
Yep.
I don't even know a couple I would want as my parents. I do think Mila and Ashton's a really good one. They seem really wholesome and like they have really great values. I would just want a celebrity parent that actually gives a shit about me because I think a lot of times they just pass them off to the nannies. And I'd actually like to have my parents active in my life. So I'm not sure which celebrity that is, but maybe Kyle Richards. So Kyle Richards is on Real Housewives and she's on Beverly Hills and she loves being a mom. I would probably pick her. She seems like she's very involved in her children's lives.
I don't know who she is, but I like that reasoning.
Okay, who would you pick? That's a couple.
I'm torn between 2. I'm torn between Blake and Ryan.
Okay, that's a good one too.
And Joe and Sophie.
Oh, Joe Jonas. You would bring a Jonas brother in this.
So cute.
I know, but like it's honestly mainly because of Sophie. Sophie Turner is the best Jonas brother, hands down. No, I don't know. I mean, with Blake and Ryan, I mean, they just seem incredible. I also I know somebody who works for them and like I've just heard nothing but the most incredible things about them as humans and as parents. But also with Joe and Sophie, like I have so much respect for them. They had a baby over a year ago. Nobody's ever seen this baby, ever. There are no pictures of this.
They had a baby?
Yes. Her name is Willa, but it's unconfirmed. They never even confirmed her name. They were like, we want her to just have her life and have her life be what she wants it to be. And they literally, like, there are no pictures of this child. None.
I never knew that.
And like, it was a known thing that they had a baby, but like they never made like an official baby announcement. They never made an official announcement that she was pregnant. Like, yes, obviously she was spotted pregnant and that's how people knew, but like they just were like, we want this kid to have as normal of a life as possible. And so they've fully like kept her out of any of their stories and the public eye.
I honestly respect parents who are in the public eye that let their children make that choice when they're of age to make a informed decision. Like I know Kristen Cavallari, similarly to those two, she always says like, I'm never showing my kids. I'll show the back of their heads. Like it's their decision. If they want to do a reality show, I'm not going to put them on my show. I just think also your perception of life is so much different if you grow up with cameras around you 24/7. Like I would love to know, I would love for there to be a study of children who grow up on reality TV shows versus children who don't. Or children who start with it. And then if there is a decline after the camera stop rolling, because it does make me think of the Kardashian children who, you know, they grew up with the cameras around them. And then now that the show's not a thing, like How is their life different? And how has that affected like how they act?
I mean, it doesn't seem like their life is much different now than when it was happening. I don't know. I know I have friends who like have family friends and friends that are celebrities, and everything that I've heard from them is like, I would never want to be famous. I would never want to have famous parents or a famous sibling. Like, and I know people who have like dated siblings of very famous people, and it's like it always just brings so many layers of almost like trauma into their lives.
Okay, you need to spill this tea because I had no idea about any of this.
I'll talk to you about it later.
So how I know? Okay, so you said it brings trauma into their lives. Like how so?
I
Just
mean,
the overexposure.
Overexposure, or always being compared, or like their success is being so almost like minimal, or just not even like not even on the same scale. Like you can't compare. Let's say like you have an older sibling who is a celebrity. Like you can't even compare your successes of like getting a good grade on something or getting a job that you really want to like any single thing that's happening on any given day in their lives, because it's just so different and it's on such a different scale. I mean, with celebrity parents, it's like the whole world knows your parents' business, and sometimes you find out stuff about your own parents from like paparazzi and from TMZ before you even find it out for yourself. So I think it's things like that where I don't know. I mean, I don't know. And I think for so long, like when I was so consumed with like the music business, I either wanted to date somebody who like was really close to celebrities in terms of like what they were doing with their lives, like managing them or something, or who was actually a celebrity. And like every single time I did something anywhere along those lines, and trust me, I did not date anybody like actually famous you would ever have heard of. But like anytime I dated somebody like who was doing something that like could possibly get them that way, like it was just a disaster because I've like their perception of everything was just completely different. I don't know. It's weird.
This reminds me of, so this was in the press a little bit ago. It's Bella Hadid said that she cries every single day and all of this stuff and that she's so miserable. And I read the comments and people are like, you don't have a perception of reality. Like your perception is so different than people who like cry over financial issues.
Yeah. It's tough. I mean, I know so many people also who like either like work with TikTok stars or their cousin is a TikTok star or something. And it's like these people, for the most part, don't have actual friends. Like I know someone whose cousin has like millions and millions of followers on TikTok, but does not have a single friend in real life. Not a single one.
That's so sad.
And like when they even go to like family events, like Christmas dinner or what, like Thanksgiving, like the person doesn't know how to have like in-person social interactions.
Wow. That's crazy. And then, you know, all three of us who are pursuing our side hustles, trying to make it in life.
And you're like, fuck famous people, but like, I'll be one.
We're like, hi, like 100,000 people, please follow me today.
Our poor children. But you know what? Not every kid has some type of trauma. If it's from being a celebrity, you know.
We're all messed up.
Yeah, like everyone's got their trauma. It's just a different avenue.
Yeah.
I always think about the level of fame, though. That's kind of the sweet spot. Like, I feel like for what we want to do, I'm not trying, I mean, I would love to be KKW, but I'm not trying to be that level where I'm photographed every single place I go. Everyone recognizes me everywhere I go. I just want to have like my thing in my industry where people know of me.
Yes.
But not to the point where I have stalkers and not to the point where people are like coming after my family or coming after, I don't know. It almost makes like, I don't want to say reality TV
You're making your bank.
but like I'm making my bank, but like some people know who I am, some people don't, and I'm still able to have my private life.
I completely agree. I mean, I've been recognized on the street and I've had people come up to me and ask to like take pictures with me.
Oh my God.
Really?
And it is honestly like one of the coolest things ever. And it's happened a bunch of times, but
I could
also go a month where it doesn't happen. And to me, it's like, I would never want it to happen. Like in a perfect world, I would never want it to happen more than once a day. Like I want to be able to live my life.
Mm-hmm. And then you don't have to worry about like people photographing. Like I always see on TikTok, oh, Tyler C at the club, people are just videoing him. I'm like, I don't need to be out drunk and people videoing me because you don't know what Katie you're getting in that moment.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I look like shit 99% of the time I leave my house. So let's pass on that. Okay. Let's get back into dating, end of 2021, all that. I want to talk about a few like phrases and kind of dating trends that happened this year because there was definitely a lot. I mean, obviously like one big trend was video dating, which like came and went real quick. I actually never went on a video date. Katie, did you?
I did. So this guy he works for a famous sports team and he is close friends with some of the players. So we are having a FaceTime. We actually met on TikTok. He like followed me on TikTok. I followed him back. He followed me on Instagram. We liked a few each other's
2021 love story.
A 2021 love story. And then he slid in my DMs, was like, hey, here's my number. Like, we should hang out. Gives me his number. I text him. We start texting. And then he asked me on a date, like to go on a walk. And I said, how about we FaceTime first? Because I'm like, one, I don't feel comfortable seeing strangers. I don't know who you've been around. This is pre-vaccine. And two, I'm like, I don't want to be stuck on a walk with you if your personality sucks. Like, I don't know what you're like in person. So we have this FaceTime date. We schedule it for this time.
Wait, can I just call out that it's funny that you're like, I don't want to be stuck on a walk with this person. Like, what if they suck? But it's like, that's what any first date is. Like, you're just stuck at a bar.
I know.
I'm stuck on a walk with this person.
Yeah, but if I can be in the comfort of my home judging you, I'd rather do that. So
Deal.
We pick a date. He's late. We pick a date and a time. He's late to call me. I'm like, all right, are we doing this or not? Like, I have a 9 to 5. Like, he clearly doesn't. I mean, his hours are different than mine. So then he calls me. He's in LA. He's at this famous person's house. He's on a golf course in the back of this person's house. And the camera angle is like down here. Like it's like very, very low. This is how he's FaceTiming me. Like from here, I'm seeing just chin up. He's barely making conversation. I'm like, what the fuck is this? Can you not talk? You can only talk through a screen. So dodged a bullet. Haven't talked to him since, blocked his number. He does still occasionally like my TikToks.
Yeah, they'll take the like.
We'll take the like.
We'll take the like. I mean, that is where video dating does come in handy, though, where it's like you did save your time from getting stuck on a walk with this guy.
I did, especially because I still lived at home in the suburbs. I would have to commute halfway or commute to the city to even meet this person. I was like, I don't feel like going through all that just to decide.
Yeah.
Like if I'm going to see you, I'm like, let's just do a video chat. And we talked with Tinks a while ago, and she said her thing that she does in dating is she FaceTimes someone randomly to see if they'll answer. She's like, at a certain point, if people aren't comfortable enough to answer a FaceTime, like, do you really want to date that person? And
before meeting them?
Before meeting them. And I kind of like that.
I do too. If I had to go back into the market, I think that I'd want to FaceTime someone before I met with them in person.
But I actually wouldn't FaceTime any of my Hinge matches before I met them in person. I'd rather just go in with no judgment so then I can go in confidently to the date and hope for the best.
Yeah. I do wonder also sometimes like you could have a really short FaceTime that goes really well and then you get into the habit of like building up the story in your head about them and getting so excited and then they're actually a disappointment in real life. Or they're like 6 inches shorter than you thought in real life.
There's nothing worse than that.
Yeah. Have you ever really been catfished?
No, I've never been catfished. I actually went on my first blind date this year. I've never been on a blind date before. I went on a blind date this year. He looked exactly as I thought he would. Personality was completely off. I met all of his friends. His friends set me up, and his personality was night and day with his friends.
Huh.
Have you had a catfish?
No. I feel like every time I've gone on a date, like they look exactly as expected. I mean, every single guy has been like an inch shorter because that's what guys do.
Everyone
you always have to know to
up.
round down. But that's never been something that I've like really cared about or impacted me. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I don't know.
And if you're like Katie and I, we stalked their LinkedIn before. Not that I've been on a date, but I stalk my friends' guys on LinkedIn. That's the first thing I do.
I stalk everything before I go on the date. I need to collect my facts. It's also collecting your talking points. Like I need to figure out things that I can bring up on the date because there's a lot of awkward silences on dates.
But there are also dates where there are no awkward silences. But that's where it gets confusing. It's like, oh, are there no awkward silences because we really hit it off and this is like a match made in heaven, or because I can talk to anyone and they can talk to anyone. And like everyone who goes on dates with them also has no awkward silences. You
No,
don't know.
I have that same thought. Sometimes I think to myself, I'm like, are they actually as great as I think, or are they like this with everyone?
Yeah. That's what's hard because you have no idea. I mean, there are definitely people who like, you go on a date with them, you're like, oh my God, that was the best date ever. Like, I'm sure they make every single person feel that way.
Mm-hmm. And I also think talk is so cheap at this point. I have an example I'd like to bring up. So recently,
you have my permission.
Thank you. It's like I'm in court. So I went on a date with this guy a year ago, and the date was okay. I was making up excuses for why it didn't go well because I was obsessed with this other person that I was seeing at the time, and I wanted them to commit to me. So I let that fizzle out. And then I kept seeing this person over the summer, and then I kept seeing them out in Philly. So I keep seeing him out in Philly, and every time I see him in Philly, he stops to talk to me, and then I see him out Halloween weekend. And I was like, hi, I think we need to redo our date. And he was like, yeah, we had so much fun on our date. Like, I feel like we really get along. Let's play rock, paper, scissors, shoot of who's going to text first. So we play rock, paper, scissors, shoot of who's going to text first. I win. So I'm like, okay, I guess I'm texting you first. The next day I text him. He completely forgets our conversation, was blacked out. It was extremely awkward. And I basically put myself out there being like, let's go to dinner. Like, I'm the winner of rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Like, what are you doing next week? He was like, yeah, I'm busy this week, but like down to reschedule. I was like, okay, this is the last time that I ever make a first move on any guy again. Because every time I do it, it doesn't work out.
That's such a bummer because I feel like you have such a great personality where like if you did make a first move, like it would be representative of like true Katie, not like Katie trying to like date and impress a guy. And I feel like that sucks because every time I've like talked to like my guy friends and stuff about it, when it's like, do you like when a girl makes the move or like asks you out or texts first? They're always like, yes, because girls don't do it. So when they do, it's like the hottest thing ever. It's so attractive. It makes them stand out. But then that's the worst part. And that's why girls don't want to do it because they've done it and it doesn't work out.
I've done it at least this past year. I've done it at least maybe 3 times, and every single time it hasn't worked. And I'm either equally attractive or more attracted to the person, or like equally personality level, and nothing.
Damn. Vic, question for you. How do you feel about, the fact that you've been in a relationship for so long? Because I know obviously me and Katie are over here talking about like different dates and stuff, and that's something you haven't experienced. And so, I wonder this with my friends who have been in relationships for so long, where obviously like, I'll hear them like talk about it and I'm like, yeah, like fuck you. You never had to like deal with getting ghosted. You never had to deal with like getting rejected and dating apps and stuff. But it's like, that doesn't mean like everything was just like peachy or smooth sailing the whole time, or that you don't feel like you missed out on something. Not to say that you have to, but I'm just curious like what that experience has been like for you.
Yeah. People ask this a lot. I don't think I've missed out on a lot. But I join my friends' conversation about dating as if I'm dating, but I'm not. So I just live vicariously through my friends. But I said this to someone this summer. I'm like, I'm not missing out on like going to the bar and let's say I meet a guy. Like the only thing I think I would miss out, or that I do like if I was single, is getting free drinks from guys. And I have gotten free drinks in a relationship, which nothing wrong with that. It's good for the economy, girl on a budget. But okay, let's say I was single and then eventually I like hit it off with the guy and had to go home with him. Like the next day, he's probably going to ghost me. So I didn't have to worry about, the ghosting the next day. So, yeah, I don't feel like I've missed out on anything, because also another thing, I did long distance with Andrew all through college. So it's not like I never talked to a guy while out.
Right.
And I know him vice versa, because we've had this conversation, because it's come up with both of our families. They're like, well, how do you know that you want to be with each other if you guys haven't dated other people? And we're like, do you think we've never talked to someone of the opposite sex? Like, that's just naive to think that, especially all these years we've been dating. And I'm like, we've been out at parties talking to the opposite sex. And it's like,
Yeah.
You're aware of if you'd like someone else or not,
Yeah. That's probably really comforting for both of you also to know that you have like obviously gone out and talked to people, and the most thing, like the thing that matters is that you're excited to go home to each other. whether it's home figuratively or long distance home, send each other a text like, all right, I'm in bed. Good night.
Yeah. And it's definitely made our relationship and our like so much stronger because I see couples that all they do is hang out with each other, or that's all they did in college, or like stay home and have a FaceTime date every night and never get to experience college with your friends. And I never did that. And I'm so happy that both of us never did that because, you know, I'm not saying it was always easy because we used to get into so many fights. It was so annoying. But now we're great. So that's fine.
Can I say that one of the big benefits of you being in a relationship for so long, and like especially in your 20s and in college, is I think boys make everything so messy. And at a certain point, everyone dates the same people, sadly. And it's like, there's so much crossover. I feel like I'm 25. Well, I am 25. I don't feel like I'm 25. I'm 25 and I can already, I'll be on Hinge and I'll see someone I know and I'll be like, well, I know you dated this person, this person, this person. And I'm like, who am I going to piss off by, you know, talking to this person or going on a date with them? And you don't have to worry about that when you're in a relationship.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think I cherish my friendship so much more because when I went out in college, my focus was having fun with my friends, not trying to make a guy like me.
Yeah.
So
look, I'm not going to lie. My friends and I, like, we have spreadsheets of all of the guys that we like all made out with in college. Like it starts with a guy's name and then it goes down like B, D, C, B, C, B, C, D, E, F, G, like through all the girls. And it's like, yeah, it's fun to look back at and laugh. But like we were upset during the time when it actually was going down. And that's ridiculous. Like there are so many people in the world. And to like have things stay within the same friend circles is absolutely insane.
Well, it's also a comfort level too. Like when I'm on Hinge, I want to date people who I know are in friend circles that I know. Not necessarily of my friends, but I'm saying like, you know, acquaintances or distant friends. So I know, okay, they're not a weirdo, or I know at least something about them before going into the date.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
like
true.
Your values are kind of the same.
No, you're so right on that. It really is a comfort thing. And I think that's something where like I don't know if I've ever gone on a date with somebody I had no mutual friends with.
No, I
don't think I have.
It's kind of creepy to me.
Well, it's also, what do you talk about?
What do you talk about? I mean, I'm sure we could find things, but like, hold on. I'm curious. I'm looking up how many Facebook friends I have right now.
Okay.
If it will tell me.
Okay, but this also makes me think one exception to that rule is internship programs, because I became friends with a lot of like guys and girls, and I had like zero mutual friends with anyone. So like if you met someone through like that way, makes sense.
That's true.
But I guess that kind of counts the same thing. But I would say like
school. Work's a mutual friend.
Never mind.
Like although it's not a physical person, it's a mutual friend because you have things you can talk about.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, like a mutual connection.
A mutual connection that you can talk about, like a reference point.
I agree. Work is a friend in that case. Okay, I have 2.7K Facebook friends. So if I were to go on a date with somebody and they did not know a single one of those people, yeah, I would be concerned. And I would not go on that date, which is probably why I've never gone on a date with someone. I mean, I'm guilty of the first thing I would do when I would match with somebody on a dating app was look them up on Facebook and see who our mutual friends were.
Oh, I do that on Instagram. I try to figure out their last name, and then I'm like, okay, who do we have in common?
Yeah. And then if there's somebody who I'm like friends with enough or like have spoken to in the last 3 years that I feel comfortable texting, I will do a reference check. I know I did it with Jake.
Yeah.
You do a reference check? I've never done that. Maybe I have. I don't know. I can't remember if I have or not.
Really? Oh my God. Always. Every time. Maybe I'm crazy.
I don't think I've gotten that far. No. I guess I have to do a reference check. Anytime I have a mutual connection with someone, I do ask. I'm like, okay, so what's your take?
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, you do that. But what's funny is I was with my friend last night and she told me that she thought one of her coworkers was cute. And I'm like, well, have you ever, tried to pursue it? Look him up on social media. She's like, no, like I really don't. I'm like, what? So she told me his last name, found his LinkedIn, then found a mutual connection. And then I was like, all right, let's find his Instagram. His Instagram didn't have his last name. And like, I'm just so thorough with it. And I found one mutual connection. I was like, oh, you should hit up this guy to ask his opinion on him. And my friend's like, I'm not doing that. I think you can
only ask the opinion if you're close enough and it's not going to get back to them. Because if you're asking the opinion to a rando, they're going to go back and tell him. And then he'll be like, oh, she's obsessed with me. Like she's asking about me.
She's a stalker.
Well, no, my whole thing and that's where I could get myself in trouble is I would do it before we even started having a conversation. I would do it to decide, like, do I want to have a conversation with this person and get my hopes up about them? Because look, I've done it sometimes where I have matched with people and I've asked friends about them. And they're like, absolutely fucking not. Or like that person, like that guy is like the biggest player I know. Mm-hmm. Or like he is such an asshole. And I'm like, okay, like thank God I asked.
But my thing too is I think everyone has their own opinion. So if we at least have mutual friends and I'll go on the date just to make my own decision and I'll listen to what my friends are saying and I'll have it in the back of my mind. And then maybe I'll listen, maybe I won't. And I just want to make my own decision before I completely say like, oh no.
Yeah.
Because what I look for in someone may be different than what someone else looks for in someone. And like, I don't know, everyone just has their different lens of how they're looking at someone.
But my question is like, what if you went on a date with somebody, you thought they were amazing, and then you ask someone about them and they're like...
And they say he's an asshole.
And they say they're an asshole or they did something absolutely terrible to someone that they know. And it's like, oh, but you already established your opinion on them and you think they're amazing, but now you're hearing this other thing. And like, I just know that once I form an opinion about somebody, like it's really hard for me to take... Like if I really like someone and then someone else is like, no, you should not like that person, like bad news, I'm going to be like, well, maybe they've changed. Like, no, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. And then like they end up being exactly how I was told they were going to be.
Yeah. No, I definitely had those moments too. But I just think...
Katie, we're probably thinking about the same person.
Probably. I just think it's live and you learn. Like,
yeah.
I think girls have this thing in their mind that they can be the one to change someone or maybe it'll be different with me. And then sometimes, you know, it doesn't really tend to be true, but I'd rather at least give something a shot if I feel strongly about something and learn the hard way than not give it at all a chance if I'm interested.
You're right. I mean, look, I think you're right, but I'm also saying you're right while knowing that I have learned things the hard way. And like, I could have saved myself so much.
I know. No, I'm thinking about, so someone specifically who Vic's probably thinking about too, like is a mutual friend of ours. And I think we're thinking about the same person, Vic. So if I'm not, tell me I'm wrong. But I went on a date with this person. We were messaging like basically on Instagram all summer. Should have been my first red flag. Second red flag should have been all of the hot girls that he follows. Third red flag should have just been him going out all the time. But I was like, okay, like I want to give him a chance, whatever. Go on a date, like acts like he's into me for a week and then completely just drops off. And I'm like, all right. Could have seen this one coming, but you know.
But I feel like you can't do that when you have mutual friends. You can't just drop off. That's the whole point of like having mutual friends or like having friends set you up or something is like, you can't just drop off the face of the earth. You have to be more respectful than that and say something.
But I think people do.
They do, but that's it's like how?
Yeah. My experience with mutual friends is we'll date and then it won't go well. And then it's slightly awkward for a little bit. And I have to give distance from either that friend group or wherever I'd come in contact with that person so that it's not awkward with the rest of the group if they still think highly of that person. And then also you have to filter what you say because you can't say what you want to say about that person because they are friends with that person and they've been friends with that person and they'll continue being friends with that person. And just because you and that person didn't work out doesn't mean shit to them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another thought on this topic is, I think, Katie, we used to talk about this, but your friends that are like, well, he was a player in college. And yes, people sometimes do change after college because the real world and college are so different. Mm-hmm. But it's just another situation that you're going to have to learn. Like, has he changed? Is he over the whole frat boy lifestyle?
That's what's tough. I mean, I know like some of my friends like made out with more people than any human could possibly count in college. But like, that doesn't mean they are still doing that by any means. It's me, I'm my friends. No, I'm kidding. But kind of. No, but like it doesn't, that's just college. Like it's also different. Like I went to a really big party school where like it was very normal. Like everybody was just like being a player kind of. And I know I could count so few relationships like that my friends were in throughout college just because that was so foreign. And so it is weird. It's like, because I will ask my friends and about people and they have said like, oh, he was like you said, like such a player, like so fratty, like would just like hook up with everyone in college. It's like, well, at what point do we stop counting what someone did in college?
No, I agree. But this is something that I think I've now started doing in modern dating post grad is I've come to the conclusion that everyone is talking to at least 5 to 10 people while they're talking to you. So you can't get your hopes up and you have to talk to 5 to 10 other people too. Sadly,
and define talking to, like while they're talking to you, does that mean before a first date, after a first date, before a fifth date? Like in what stage?
I would say by like the second date, they're probably talking to 5 to 10 people on average.
I know.
And it sucks. It sucks because I'm always like trying to put the clues together of like, oh, who's the bitch that liked his Instagram or who commented and like all that kind of shit. And it's like, you just can't even overanalyze it because who knows what they're looking for? Who knows what you're looking for? They're basically comparing and contrasting the different people they're talking to and trying to decide who's number one in their mind. Or maybe if number one doesn't like them back, they're going to go to number two because they have that option.
Yeah.
Or in today's age, most people have Snapchats. And even if they're not officially talking to everyone, I have a few best friends that I can name on the top of my hand that I'm like, are you talking to that guy? She's like, no, we just snap occasionally. So like, imagine all the girls or guys.
If a guy ever snapped me occasionally, I'd be like, delete your fucking app and don't ever snap me again.
Okay, but you are not a Snapchat person.
Yeah, but what am I sending on? No, this is why. I believe Snapchat is a breeding bacterial, whatever those things are, petri dish of bad things.
Breeding ground?
It's a
you got out of it.
It's a breeding ground.
You got out of it effectively.
It's like every guy who gets my number adds me on Snapchat. I'm like, are you just trying to see me naked? Like, what is the point of Snapchat?
Yes, they
nowadays?
are. That is exactly what
they're snapping everyone.
That's literally what it is. I'm like, I'll just show you in person if you just come over. Like, I don't need to Snapchat it to you.
Well, that's the problem. Exactly what you said just now, Vic, is that like they're snapping everyone. It's like the number of times I've seen people get so excited because the guy Snapchatted them something like with a dog or like at like in their bed at night or just like chilling, like even if it's like absolutely not sexual whatsoever, like they get so excited. But it's like they're not just sending that to you unless they write something specific that you know is specifically to you, an inside joke, like you're in conversation via Snapchat.
They're going down the list.
They are literally clicking like 20 people.
Yeah. It's fucked up.
It is. Okay. We've talked about all the things that are fucked up now.
Glad I got it out there. And I'm like still looking at my phone, anxiously waiting for that guy to text me to reschedule when it's not even going to happen. I'm like, Jesus Christ. I just know I'm going to run into him out in Philly and I'm going to be a raging bitch. I'm not going to be a raging bitch. I'll just be like, hi.
As you should.
No. We're not stooping to that level. I'm just going to be like, hey, how are ya? Keep it moving.
Yeah. Hey, I think your text to me didn't send. Is your phone working?
No, I couldn't. I think at that point it's so desperado because, well, this is the background. I canceled on him 3 times before our first date. So I'm like,
surprised
I know.
You made it to a first date in that case.
I know. I was too. I was like, there's no shot he'll go with me. And then I was like, fuck, yeah. Like I definitely messed this up after the cancellation 3 times. And
my guess is he's talking to someone.
No, I think he's definitely talking to someone.
Or 5 other people.
Or 5 other people. Probably 5 other people.
Okay. To try and avoid making this the world's longest episode, I want us to get to, because there's like a million things that we haven't talked about that I want us to talk about.
Let's dive in.
But I want us to get to what's coming up in 2022 and like from everything we talked about, what takeaways from dating in 2021, our relationships and stuff we have, and like how can people actually go into 2022 and maybe find what they're looking for, or like what red flags did we discover this year that like we really need to run from, or what green flags came up that were like, okay, like we need to look for more people like this.
Okay, I'll go first. Number 1, green flags, I think, are people who want commitment. I think people who have a background of being in relationships tend to most likely want relationships. And I think those are the people to look for because if they've had a girlfriend, they probably know how to treat a girl. I've seen people and gone on dates with people who I know for a fact have not had girlfriends. And I'm like, what am I doing here? You're not going to know how to act around me or do anything with me.
I will counter that.
Okay.
By saying that Jake is literally the best boyfriend in the world and I am his first girlfriend.
Really? That doesn't scare you at all?
No. I think it's worth the question of like, well, why haven't you been in relationships before? Mm-hmm. And I think once you get that answer, obviously there are answers that could be real red flags. Like, oh, I've never really wanted to commit to someone or what, or like, oh, it's just like whatever it may be. But I think for him, the answer was like, he traveled for work a lot. Like he lived in Vegas for a year for work. Like it just like he wasn't in a relationship in college. And then after he was like just super busy with work and getting himself established in his career and like had to travel all the time and didn't have time to really date and like look for something real. And I was like, that makes sense. And he made it like very clear that like he was now if he found the right thing. And so I was like, okay. And I think in terms of like never having been in a relationship before and not knowing like how to be a partner in that. I mean, it's something that like every relationship really is different. Like I've been in relationships before, but they were all really fucked up relationships or like long distance relationships and stuff. So like, I think every relationship it's just about like communicating what you need from each other. So that is my argument to that. But also that is one example.
Okay. Here's my green flag number 2. They plan in advance. Nothing turns me on more than when someone is considerate of my schedule and makes a plan and thinks about something that I've said to them. Like if I said, oh, I really like X, Y, and Z. And they decide, okay, Katie said she liked this. I'm going to ask her to go to this place. She said this is her favorite food. And then making a plan. There is nothing hotter than that in my mind. That is 100 green flags.
A man with a plan. And it's thoughtful. It's thoughtful. It really is. Because you also know, like you said, like they paid attention to something. They put the effort into it. It shows effort. It really does. Mm-hmm. And they put the effort in sooner than they had to make you feel like secure about what you were doing. And then you can get excited about it. I totally agree.
Vic, what are green flags for you?
Are we doing green flags or predictions?
Green flags for going into 2021, not settling for the bullshit that we dealt with going into 2022.
I don't even know what year it is. Absolutely not. Even though the year did go by quick, I think a green flag, I'm going to reverse this. I think because of like podcasting, TikTok, all the influencers who are all about like empowerment and believing in yourself, like who cares about the green flag and the other person? You need to realize, do I like them? And like, are they worthy of my time? And just knowing who you are. Because I feel like we're opening the conversation of women like being confident and, like from Call Her Daddy and your dating podcast, we met at Acme. It's like taking that control into your life and, instead of being like, well, what's going to make me like him? Or like, not that, like, what does he like me? It's like, well, do I want him? And is he even worth my time?
Yeah.
Yep. 100%.
I still struggle
so
with that.
Going in with that mindset.
I'm afraid of intimacy. I decided this is off topic, but so 35-year-old, I was talking with him and I was saying how I love group dates. And he was like, are you afraid of intimacy? And then I realized, okay, I am. And then it made me realize on top of that, me downloading Hinge, I connected with some person. We were texting last night. Then he said something that kind of was a little off-putting, ever so slightly, that he lives at home. And I'm like, no, I don't know if I want to go on a date now. And it's like you shutting down the idea that maybe like of putting yourself out there.
Yeah.
Because of something that's not exactly how you want it.
Yeah. No, I mean, you're completely right. And I think that's something where it's like, well, we all lived at home this past year and a half, like at many different times. I'm literally in my house right now, though when this episode comes out, I will no longer own this house, or my parents will no longer own this house. So everybody pour one out for my childhood home.
I'll pour out my iced tea for your childhood home.
Thank you. But no, I think, look, going back to what Vic said, like, yes, I couldn't agree more. I was so guilty of saying all the time, like, well, do they like me? And that's all I cared about. I never once stopped to think, like, do I even like them? But yeah, Katie, with what you're saying, I think it is something that people struggle with, where it's like, well, he lives at home, but like the next guy won't. Mm-hmm. And so I'm sure I could find someone who's just as good as him who lives in their own place. But it's like, I think that's one of the biggest problems is that we feel like we can just like pick out items a la carte. And like, if we like keep swiping, we'll find the person who has everything on the menu that we want. And that's not real.
It's not real. But it's the green flag of being open-minded, that the person I'm seeing to be open-minded, but also me being open-minded. I did tell him, I said, I'll be home next week. I'm dog sitting. We'll get drinks then. And he said, sounds good. And he probably thinks I'm blowing him off, but I actually will be home. And maybe I will text him.
Time will tell.
Time will tell.
You should text him.
Yeah.
For those listening, Katie just gave the funniest face. I can't even describe it.
What are you going to say, Vic?
Nothing. Alana, what is yours?
Yeah, what are your green flags?
My green flags. I mean, Vic, I really love what you said. And I think that's something that I definitely would have said is like, focus on, do you like them? Not do they like you? And how can you make them like you? And don't think about like, oh, well, if I like wait another hour to send the text, maybe he'll want me more. Maybe she'll like be more into me, like whatever that may be. Like, I think a green flag is when you really feel like you can be yourself with somebody. I think a really big green flag and something that I hope people can take into 2022 is when you feel like you don't have to ask your friends what to say to this person over text. That is the biggest green flag because you actually feel comfortable having a conversation on your own, which you are fully capable of, but sometimes you forget that. We're all guilty of it. But when you actually feel like, oh yeah, like I don't need to like send this to the group chat. I don't need to get the whole team on board to like create this response. That's a really big thing. And that sounds ridiculous. It's like, oh, we can't send a text on them. It's like, no, we can't. We haven't been for years. So once you feel comfortable enough with somebody, and it might happen before a first date or after a first date, like whenever it is, but once you feel like empowered enough, where like, oh, I can just be myself. I can say whatever I want to say. I can text them the way I text my friends and not think twice about it. Like that is a huge green flag.
Let's go to red flags. Can we talk about red flags? Can everyone rattle off their top 3 red flags? Because I'm so curious.
Let's do it quick. Like let's do it like Spitfire. Like first things that come to mind.
Spitfire. Number 1, adds you on Snapchat.
Yeah, run. Sprint. Run the marathon.
I'm going to say someone who doesn't have a passion. So like that's also a green flag. If they do have a passion for something in life, green flag. If they don't, immediate red flag, gotta go.
Yep.
You need some help.
Someone who doesn't ask you questions.
Yes. Oh my God. I go on dates and I'm like, am I the only interviewer here? Like I'm asking you all these questions out of politeness and you haven't asked me jack shit.
Yep. Huge red flag if the person does not ask questions about you. Like you're on a date, like you're supposed to be getting to know each other.
Also, red flag
to know me
when they have monologues, when they have long ass boring monologues about their job that they think are important, but no one gives 2 fucks about.
Yeah. Yep.
Next
talk to your mom,
flag,
your therapist.
if they don't meet you halfway, or they expect you to go all the way to them.
I make fun of Jake for that one because in his defense, I did say I lived on the Upper East Side and I really lived in Midtown East, but our first date was on his corner.
Shut the fuck up.
No way.
Yep.
Well, first date is just a practice round. It's a practice round.
No, look, my brother, and he might overhear me when I say this, but he used to live in a building that was on top of a speakeasy. And I yelled at him when I found this out. Every single one of his dates was in that speakeasy.
No.
Every single one. He was like, I'm busy. I'm a busy guy. Like, I'm making time for the date. They can come down here. Like, no. Absolutely not.
No.
Red flag.
Yes. Red flag also someone who makes excuses for why they can't see you or why they can't fit you in their schedule. Because everyone is busy. Everyone has a schedule. It's being considerate of that schedule and finding a time that works for you both.
I agree.
What is your thought on this red flag? I couldn't date a guy that didn't go to the gym.
I mean, I think as long as like they're doing something to stay like healthy, not necessarily like fit or in shape, but healthy. Like if they just are sedentary all day long and don't move, that is probably a sign that there will be bigger problems down the road.
That's exactly what I'm thinking. I don't want you to die of a heart attack at age 30 because you don't enjoy activities that involve moving your body.
Yeah. But like the gym membership isn't the requirement. Like if you go for walks, runs, like do push-ups in your apartment, like fine.
Activities, exercise,
yes, exercise,
getting the heart healthy.
Yeah. I agree. It also just shows like you care about yourself. And it's like, how can you care for somebody else if you're not prioritizing your own like health, you know? Mm-hmm. I do think that's important.
And I think a lot of times people associate working out with, oh, I want to look good. I want to look skinny. I work out for mental health reasons. I work out because I'm like, I can't be an anxious bitch today. So I need to get my ass up at 6 o'clock and go to the gym, because if I don't, I'm going to be a psychopath later to my roommate. So we're going to the gym.
You're a good roommate. I support that. Okay. Before we go, one thing you did in 2021 that you do not want to do in 2022.
I think doubt myself, self-doubt, feeling like maybe I'm not enough or that I'm not capable of doing something that other people are doing. Just being confident in my abilities and being true to myself and unapologetically me.
I love that. Vic?
See, I'd like to say that, but I know that that's just not realistic for me going into 2022. So I'm going to say to stop worrying, because I worry.
You think that's realistic?
Well, hear me out. I am getting better at it, because if COVID taught us anything, life is so unpredictable. And I constantly worry about things that are happening like in 6 months. And I'm like, well, so much is going to change in 6 months that why am I freaking out about it now? So not worrying about things that are more than a month out as much as I already did.
I like that.
I think that's realistic for me.
Okay, what's yours, Alana?
I want to stop kind of jumping through hoops and for people who don't respect me.
Yes, that's a good one.
And really like not holding myself back because of what people are going to think of me.
I mean, retweet. If I could add a second one, that would be it. Both of those.
Let's hold each other accountable.
Especially because we all have a podcast. So we're putting ourselves out there, and it's like stop caring about what anyone has to say. If you don't like this, why are you listening?
It is hard. But
why are you watching?
Well, thank you guys so much for being here. It is funny. Like we could actually go on forever, but I really have to pee. So
yes, go pee.
I'm going to. Where can everybody find you for when they wake up on January 1st and have the biggest actual hangover and moral hangover from whatever they did the night before? Where can they find you guys?
So you can find us at the Moral Hangover Podcast on Instagram, on TikTok. We have new episodes every Monday. You can stream us on Spotify and Apple Podcast. You can follow our personal handles. I'm at Katie_Dombrowski. Vic, say yours because I fuck it up every time.
Mine is at Bruno_.
What's hard about that?
I put the underscore in between the name, not after the name.
Because that's where yours is. Got it. Mm-hmm. Well, and I'm Alana.Dunn, and this is Seeing Other People at Seeing Other People Everywhere. You guys, thank you so much for being on this wild ride throughout the year. We have one more episode on Thursday coming at you where I'm actually sitting down with my producer, Camilla Vola, and we're just going to talk about the year in Seeing Other People. So stay tuned for that. Definitely follow Vic, Katie, and The Moral Hangover, and I'll talk to you guys soon.